probably guys that you're saying, all right, Russ, there's been guys who've been playing in the league that, maybe you were expecting them to be a breakout star, but things haven't kind of materialized like you thought they would. Who are the guys that you want to see more out of in 2026? Well, I'm glad you asked that question, and I think it's one that a lot of people think about, because there's some guys on this list that you say, like, this guy should be an absolute stud. And for whatever reason, whether that's injury or the development nature of players in Major League Baseball, it just hasn't happened like we thought. And the first guy for me is Adley Rutschman for the Baltimore Orioles. Adley Rutschman, when he got to the big leagues, was the number one prospect in the sport. He was the number one overall pick the year he was drafted, and you saw a can't-miss prospect. And the first 2 years he was playing in the big leagues, it was exactly what you thought it would be. Guy put up back-to-back 5 WAR seasons, and you're saying, all right, this is already the best catcher in all of Major League Baseball. But after the 2022-2023 season, we put up those 5 WAR seasons, had dealt with some injuries, right? He was still an all-star in 2024, but the second half of that 2024 season dealt with some injuries. The numbers dipped off. And then in 2025, he only played 90 games. So you didn't get to see the best of Adley Rutschman. In that time, Samuel Basallo comes up, right? Big-time catching prospect for the Baltimore Orioles, was tearing it up in the minor leagues, made his debut last season, signed an extension, and that's going to be a guy that's going to be playing a lot for the Baltimore Orioles, as is Adley Rutschman. But I get to this point where I'm like, I know how good Adley is as a player because we've seen it. We're just at a point now where it's like, okay, what's best for Adley and what's best for the Orioles in terms of, one, this platoon between him and Samuel Basallo, because both guys are going to be in the lineup. Is it a situation where to keep Adley healthy, maybe he DHs more? That's likely going to happen as well, because you bring in Pete Alonso, who I think is going to do really well in Baltimore and is going to be really good for that group. So it's not the easy transition of, he'll play first base sometimes. And maybe he might, maybe he gives Pete some days to DH there and Adley can play first base. But I want to see that 130, 135 game season, 140 game season from Adley Rutschman, because I think when he's healthy, what he can do on both sides, from both sides of the plate, is really special. And getting him to being that special player again, that special hitter again, is something I think the Baltimore Orioles are hoping that they get. And maybe having a young player in Samuel Basallo, take some of that defensive pressure off Adley, where he doesn't have to feel like, I got to go out there and catch 120, 125 games. Maybe that frees him up, frees his body up to be a little bit better equipped to get through the rigors of a 162-game schedule. But Adley Rutschman is a guy that I'm expecting to see a little bit more out of here in 2026. The next group of guys, it's kind of a package deal for me. Elly De La Cruz and Matt McClain. They are double play partners there in Cincinnati with the Reds. And 2023, both of those guys debut. And Elly was the big-time prospect. And Matt McClain was the first rounder. And you're saying, oh, man, these guys are studs. These guys have been playing high-level baseball for a long time for the Cincinnati Reds. They really found something here. And I'll start with Matt McClain. That season, 2023, he had over an 850 OPS. He was actually a better player. He was the best player on that team in 2023, a better player than Elly De La Cruz that season. And you go into 2024 and you say, oh, man, like these guys are going to be great. And then Matt McClain gets hurt, has a shoulder injury, misses the entire 2024 season, comes back in 2025 and was just not the same player offensively, had a sub 700 OPS. Then you go over to Elly De La Cruz. Elly he has the flash, the swag, the speed, the big time power, and you saw that on display in 2024. He had 25 homers, over 60 stolen bases, and you said, this guy has as many tools as we have in Major League Baseball. And then in 2025, it kind of dipped a little bit, and you saw the power go down slightly, didn't steal as many bases. There was still some swing and miss there. And then he really struggled defensively when it came to the errors. And you saw where the defensive run saved and outs above average were. Those were the things where you're like, okay, how long before potentially the Reds move Elly to a different position? Because, look, you're going to give your big-time prospect every opportunity to stick at the position. But if things don't change, maybe they make a change with where they want to play him. But I think with Elly, I think the offensive numbers are the big thing for me, because that has to be your best player. For the Reds to get where they want to go, Elly De La Cruz has to be that 850 OPS, 900 OPS guy. And the question for me going into now 2026 is, can Elly be that version of himself, right? I don't think a sub 800 Elly De La Cruz is going to get the Reds where they need to go. And I don't want to be unfair in saying that, but I think the Reds would tell you, hey, we need Elly to be a superstar if we want to get where we want to go, because he has superstar abilities. Like, we've seen superstar traits from him, but it's now putting it together, in his third full season in the big leagues this year. But same thing with Matt McClain. I think Matt McClain has the ability to be a really, really dynamic power. He's not a huge guy, but he has big time power in there. He has speed in there. And with what he can do defensively at second base, that's a really strong player. So those two guys up the middle for the Cincinnati Reds, if they're able to get back to, what they were a couple of seasons ago, the Reds have a really good opportunity to do some things in the NL Central and maybe in that wild card race. Last guy for me, also sticking in the NL Central, Oneil Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates. When you talk about tools, I know with Elly De La Cruz, we have this conversation a lot, but Oneil Cruz has the crazy power. You're talking about, 40 home run potential. He has the crazy exit velocities, hitting homers 115, 118, 120 off the bat. Ball just flies. Also has crazy speed. He's 6'7" and is flying 90 feet down the first base line when he gets on the move. And just hasn't been able to put all the pieces together. And it's a guy that you're saying, okay, how long has Oneil Cruz been in the big leagues? This is only his fourth full season this year going into 2026. And, he had the injury after in his second year where, he had to come back after that. He took a year and took some time to get back, and he's playing shortstop. And then last year he becomes a full-time center fielder. So he's had some things that he's had to deal with outside of just trying to focus and develop on being the best big league player he can be. But going into this season, having the year playing center field under his belt now, you want to see Oneil Cruz start to put some of those tools together, because the Pittsburgh Pirates have the type of team where it's like, okay, they can do some things. Like, they might surprise some people and win some more games than we've seen them win in the last several seasons, and what they're able to do with their starting pitching, with Paul Skeens coming off an NL Cy Young Award in his second season. Like, you could see Oneil Cruz playing a pivotal role in their success if he's able to start to put some of these things together. And so I'm really interested to see how he's able to do that over the next 6 to 7 months, because look, I think he has all the tools. Like, when you're able to hit the ball off the bat at 118, like, you're able to do something that other guys just aren't able to do. So Oneil Cruz, Adley Rutschman, and Elly De La Cruz and Matt McClain are the three guys that I'm looking to get a little bit more out of in 2026.